Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bowling Lounge. If you tuned in last week, you know not only did I have a few technical problems, I was hugely underprepared as well. But thankfully, I've got Budgie here to help me out this evening. So, welcome to the Bowling Lounge, Budge.
Good evening, Jeff. Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to join you in the lounge. Always.
It's a pleasure to have you. First time this season, but we've only done a couple of shows, so I'm sure there'll be
Yeah,
plenty more
yeah,
in you yet.
yeah. And now that things are more peaceful at home for me, I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands to be doing more shows. So
Oh, yeah, that's good news. That's good news. A bit of peace and quiet doesn't hurt anyone, does it, Budge? You could do with it,
no,
can you?
no. Yeah, mate. Well, I've been a father for blinking best part of 38 years. So yeah, it's nice to have an empty house, just me and the dog.
You and the dog. Well, sit back and,
Or,
and, and
or should
enjoy it
I
while you
say,
can.
or should I say, Marley and me?
Oh, superb. Well, anyway, Budge, I thought what we'd
Yeah,
do in the transfer break here, in the international break, is we'd have
yeah,
a little reflection on our transfer dealings through the summer. Now it's all done and dusted. So
yeah.
we started off, didn't we? Obviously, the previous regime came to an end, and Lopetegui was appointed, and there was a brief Lopetegui campaign, wasn't there? But it didn't last
Yeah,
too long. People soon seemed to come around, and then the PR video was with him and Stuyden was released, and that seemed to really turn a lot of people around. A lot of people were very
it calmed the
impressed with
waters a
that.
lot.
Yeah,
It really did calm the waters. Really did.
yeah, and
I
it
mean,
sort of brings us on.
I was a little bit cautious when we appointed him because of, you know, he has got a great record of management, but he has also got a bit of his history with his demands and so on and so forth. And I did kind of have some reservations on those points. However, having looked into the reasons he left Wolves, looked into it more deeply, I admire him for what he did. And it kind of gave me another angle to look at it from. And I'm actually quite happy with the way things are going at the moment. Um, you know, we'll get on to the transfer window shortly, I'm sure. But with the way things have gone since he came in, I can't say that it's been disappointing in any way.
Well, it was made quite clear, wasn't it, really, by Lopetegui starting the club through all of this PR campaign that Stuyton he was in charge of signings now. Whatever
Yeah,
truth there was or wasn't in the speculation around who may or may not have been blocking things previously, that was removed, wasn't it? And now Stuyton was confirmed to be fully in charge of signings. So this for
director of
me was
football.
like,
That's it.
okay,
Yeah,
great. Let's see. You know, we've made a lot of fanfare about Stuyton, about
yeah,
what he can achieve, and now's his opportunity. He's unhindered. Let's go and see what he does in the transfer market. And of course, this is his
exactly.
first real window, so this isn't the be all end all. What happens in this window is the
Of
final
course
judgment
not.
on him,
Of course
but
not.
it's an indication of perhaps what we might expect
Mm.
from him. So I
Yeah,
was looking forward to see what he did, and off he went to Brazil and spent about 3 weeks out there. And he was going to come back with Bruno, and then he didn't. And he was looking
mm,
at Wesley Gasova, I think, wasn't it? And
I
then he
think
didn't
that's his
come back
name. Yeah.
with him. And he did eventually come back with Luis Guilherme. Um, we
Yeah,
don't know if he's
very
going to be a pearl
promising.
or not, but he certainly wasn't a cheap option, was he?
Well,
Potentially.
no, no, but he's got a lot of potential, which
Absolutely.
that I mean that's that's coming from some very reliable, respected sources that he has a lot of potential. And to be fair, what I've seen of the small video clips that are available of him, he has got potential. He's nowhere near the finished article, but he is now in amongst a group of players where he can improve. He's got a coaching system around him that is clearly working. Okay, you know, I know that a lot of the coaches now have changed. I would imagine most of them have. But you know, Lopetegui's coaching staff have been very good in the past. You know, they've won him silverware. You know, and unfortunately, it was us that knocked Seville out of the Europa Cup a couple of years back. Unfortunately for him, but maybe fortunately, because now he's here and he has that experience and everything behind him. And I hope that 100% of the fan base will get behind him as well, because if we can all do that, and we're all kind of, okay, you're never going to please all the people all the time, but if you can please most of the people most of the time, you're on a winner, you know. And
Yeah,
so far, we've had quite a tough ask in our first 3 league games.
yeah. We've got a little bit to do on a transfer, and we'll probably, I'm sure, the conversation will come around to how we feel about how the transfer window has gone, and perhaps how the start of our season has gone. So I'm sure we'll get there. I'll just say hi to anyone who's in the chat. I see Happy Hemorrhat's in there. Hi, Kerry. Thanks for joining us. And she says, we've seen some positive signs. Going to take time to see what we can do under Loppy and Stuyton's transfer choices. Absolutely. As I say, this is Stuyton's first real window when we could say he's unquestionably, supposedly, got full control.
Yep.
And let's have a little look at what him and I'm sure with Lopetegui's collaboration, what they've brought in. And we mentioned Guilherme, and here he is. We signed him from Palmeiras, £23 million, 18-year-old.
Yep.
We've signed him on a 5-year deal. So he's here for a little while. He either develops and turns into a star for us, or we can develop him enough perhaps to move him on. Because it seems to me, if you look at the Chelsea model, you don't have to give a lot of the youngsters an awful lot of game time sometimes to turn them into a 25 million or 30 million pound player.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah.
we'll see.
I
We'll
mean,
see how
you
it
know,
develops.
he has come with quite a hefty price tag, to be fair. 23 million quid is quite a lot of money for an unproven player.
It's 23
I say
million euros. Sorry, these are figures in
is that
euros. I took
euros?
it off
Oh, right.
transfer market, but
Oh,
still,
okay.
it's
But
sort of
that's still
19 million pound.
yeah, 19, 20 million quid, which is still a hefty price tag for an 18-year-old, to be fair. However, having said that, as mentioned before, a lot of people have said that he is a man with a lot of promise and a lot of potential. And if we see even half of the potential that he has in him, then yes, that price tag won't seem so stiff. But at the moment, because you know we haven't even really seen him yet, you
No,
know, so you know at the moment I'm still considering that a heavy price tag for an 18-year-old.
but that's not his fault, right?
No, no, no,
He's
not at
come
all.
to the club. As long as he strives to achieve, if he's good enough, it doesn't matter. And like I say, we can turn him into 25, 30 minutes. I mean, we've just signed Somerville, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah,
Got
yeah,
very few Premier League games really under his belt.
hmm
Looked a really good player in a Championship Player of the Year there.
yeah, massive achievement.
30 odd million pounds they want for him, right? I'm not sure
hmm
if we paid it. It was all a bit undisclosed. Was there a release fee? But I'm sure we'll come round to him again. That's a bit further in the window. But we've signed him. There was a lot of excitement about him when we signed him. Some were suggesting he slots straight into the first team. I'm not sure that was ever the case. And if we look at his career stats, he's got a grand total of 24 appearances, totaling 750 minutes. And that just tells you how green and wet behind the ears he is, really, doesn't it? So I
It
think
does
he's got
indeed.
perhaps a long way to go for he's troubling our first 11. But the
Mhm.
fact he's involved around our first team squad is deemed good enough. I think it's a positive, isn't it? So let's
Of
just see
course,
how he
yeah, and
unravels.
all of the experience he's going to gain from being part of the match day experience, etc., etc. Traveling away. Okay, we haven't got any foreign trips planned at the moment, but maybe next season, and then maybe next season that's when he's being planned for his insertion into the starting setup, as it were. Because I don't think that Lopetegui is the kind of manager that will have a fixed 11. I think he's the kind of manager that looks at a game. At the moment, he's learning his way around. He's feeling his way around as much as anyone else, you know. So I think he's the kind of manager that will look at each game individually and say, this is a game that I can use Lewis Guilherme, or this is a game where I'll use Somerville, or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think
Um,
Lermy's going to get some minutes sometime
I
through the
think he
season.
will, and I think he'll
Yeah,
get quite a few cup minutes if we get some more cup games coming through, because if we, I know how unlikely it is, but if we can get past Liverpool, then, he's got a chance of getting minutes.
yeah.
So,
Well, we'll see how we go on against Liverpool. But I think there's
well,
not
yeah,
much more to be said about Guilherme, really, is there? We don't know an awful lot about him. He's a prospect,
yeah,
and let's hope he fulfills that. I'm just going to
mhm.
go back to the chat, say good evening to Wazim. Thanks for
Oh, good
joining us,
evening,
Wazim. Good
Wasim.
to see you in here again. And happy saying we do need to build for the future. And yeah, I get the price was a bit hefty. However, how many times have we waited another season for a player and they were out of our price range by then? And
That's a
maybe that's
really good
something.
point.
Maybe that's something to do with it. He's a real. He was really rated, wasn't he? A real
Mhm.
prospect. And if
Yeah,
we had waited and not paid what sounds like a big fee, maybe he would have missed out. That remains to be
yeah.
seen. But
I mean,
hopefully,
maybe
Happy's
next
right there.
season he would have been 40 million euros.
Yeah, who knows? Who
You
knows?
know, that's always a possibility. He's only got to make 8 appearances and get 6 goals in that time. That puts his price tag right up through the sky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
I think that's a
anyway,
really good point, Happy. Very good.
I've collated these kind of in order of how
Yep.
they um, how they arrived at the club. So
Okay.
no particular order apart from that. No
Okay.
preference. And we
Good. Good.
signed Foderingham after that.
Yeah.
Our third choice goalkeeper. He's a free transfer from Sheffield United. 33 years old. I mean, he's got 400 uh, career appearances. Only 30 of them um, in the
In the
Premier
Premier
League.
League. Yeah. But
But
that
he got
is
an assist to his name, which I thought was an interesting stat and made me smile a
yes.
bit. So I've included that in his stats. Why not? Everyone else gets it.
Exactly. Why not? I mean, the thing I actually remember the game. I remember the game. The ball came to him after a bit of a scramble in in his box. He picked the ball up and he saw that I can't even remember the name of the striker. He was just standing up there with one defender and he just launched the ball. I think he threw it actually. I think he threw it and the
Okay.
player went on to go and score. So yes,
Yeah,
he got an
super.
assist.
An odd thing, but it happens, doesn't it? You get the odd
But
goalkeeper that
what a
got a
great
goal or
stat
two.
for a
But yeah,
goalkeeper though.
yeah, great
You know?
stat for him to have. Yeah. And
Mm,
other than that, I mean, we don't really expect him to play in the Premier League, do we? And if he does, there's probably been a bit of a problem, right? So he's a
yeah.
cheap option that ticks a homegrown box. It's reported he's not on a lot of money, so you can like it, not like it, but I don't think there's much to get excited about either way,
I
is
don't
there?
think it's anything to get excited about, sure,
Nah.
for sure. But I do think it was quite a shrewd signing, because obviously now, I mean, I've spoken to Craig Forrest on a number of occasions, and when he came to West Ham, he stated that he knew he was third choice. He had Shaka and I think it was Ludo before him. I think Shaka came after Ludo, didn't he? But anyway, he knew he
Yeah.
was the third choice goalkeeper, and he was quite happy with that. He was happy to come to West Ham as the third choice goalkeeper. And I think Wes Fotherington is very similarly, got that same mindset, if you know what I mean. He's like, I'm 30 now, 30 plus. I've got very little game time left in me, probably. You know, he probably, for the sake of his family, probably doesn't want to be going on until he's 50 or 45 or whatever. He probably don't want to do that. So come to West Ham for a reasonable wage. You know, put a bit of money behind him for a couple of years or 3 years with us. And he can just retire nice and easily. I
I
think,
don't actually, I think he's contracted till 26, but I'm not really sure. I think he's just here for a year, but I'm not
all right,
100%
okay.
certain about that.
But even that, I
I
mean,
might have
even
got
that,
that wrong.
he'll get offered another extension because
Yeah.
why would we need another goalkeeper? We've got undeniably one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League in Areola on his day. There is a massive, there is a bit of a question mark with him because there are times when he can be not quite with it, but 98% of the time, I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. You know,
Well, Happy says here that Wes is a lot better than she first thought. A great choice for a third goalkeeper, in her opinion.
yeah,
And it's an interesting stat that she's come up with here. He only made 5 fewer saves than Harry last season with a worse defence than us. And she says, yes, it was possible. And goes on to say that he also played 50 plus fewer minutes than Harry as well. So, I mean, fair
great
play to
stats.
him, really. Yeah.
That's great stats for a guy, you know, who's chosen to come to a club as third choice, goalkeeper. You
Anyway, I
know,
thought these were going to be the quick two, and we've been nearly 20 minutes talking about it.
oh well,
So
that's all right.
I'll move
I'm
along.
I'm in no hurry. Go on.
After that, we had Max Kilman arrived,
Yeah,
£40 million. Uh, Mixed reception, I would say, by the fan base. Perhaps not that the
yeah,
fact that he arrived, but perhaps fans thinking that the fee was a little bit too much.
yeah.
Um, and everyone's got views, haven't they? And
There
40
is
million pounds is an awful lot of money, right?
it is, but there is a justification for paying that kind of money for him.
It would
He was the
appear in
club
how he's settled in, which is a sort of the benefit of
yeah,
hindsight a little bit, and it's
but he
short-lived.
was
We're
the
only
club
4 games,
captain, so with that comes a premium.
and it comes with an English premium. And here's another one that ticks the homegrown quota.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
So
And
there
he's
are,
another one that, will be in line for an England call up very soon. If he can perform like he did for Wolves at West Ham, he will get noticed more. And I'll guarantee you, whoever the next England coach is, he will have his eye on players like that.
and I would
We haven't,
say perhaps the fan base view on his fee um, is at least starting to soften, and people are starting to say, well, do you know what, the way he started, if he carries on like that, he's going to be value for money. So
well, exactly. I mean,
perhaps
look,
he's put a little bit of that to bed quite quickly, which is good for him,
yeah,
really, because it could be the millstone hanging around his neck.
yeah. I mean, he put Bowen in with a brilliant bit of skill for his goal against Palace, didn't he?
Well, he carried the ball out beautifully from defence for that goal, and then
Absolute
delivered
crazy
perfect
run from
pass.
him.
But we
Yeah,
haven't seen a lot of that. We haven't seen a lot of that kind of
not
play
yet.
from West Ham. But let's hope that that's a glimpse into the sort of thing that we can
Yeah,
expect perhaps a bit more regularly,
yeah. Well, there was plenty of it at Wolves, mate. So why not?
Yeah.
You
Let's
know.
see what Happy's saying here. She's saying Kilman's on fire. Thought we'd massively overpaid, but how wrong can we be? He is solid, looks so good, and settled instantly. And that's one thing I will say about him in regards. And Kilman has the best lips in the league as well. I don't know about that, Happy, but in regards to him settling instantly, I think it's very true. He looks like the established centre back in our back line now, doesn't he?
He
Doesn't
does,
look like the
doesn't he?
new addition. He looks like the
Yeah.
guy who was already there, and I think that's a testament to him as well. So fair play,
Yes.
he's
Yes.
settling
And
in
in
very well.
some respects, Jeff, he was the guy that was already there because he's worked under Lopetegui before
Well, you
and
say that
and
it
enjoyed
doesn't
it.
look like the new bloke in the defence to me.
No, no. What I mean is, that's what I mean. He's already familiar with Lopetegui and Lopetegui's style of football, and so therefore he's not had to go in and impress the manager because the manager's already worked with him and brought him to his new club.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
I
So
do,
Max
but
Tillman
I just
has
look at the options
literally
that
just
we've got,
slotted
and I
straight
look
in.
at his performances, and I mean, I concede the things that you're saying, but there's no one who can get in front of him anyway.
Well, yeah, he's first choice for me right
There's,
now.
there's, there's no one in front of him, right? He's been,
No, he's been
whether he's worked with
incredible.
Lopetegui before or not, he's he's been a shining light at the back for
Yes,
me. I
yes,
know people have
indeed.
got praise for Mavropanos and all that, and I think he's done okay. But Mavro, for me, he worries me every game, and he makes mistakes every game, and he can't keep getting away with that. But that's a conversation for another day. So
Yeah,
we'll move along to our next arrival in Somerville,
Crescencio Somerville.
and
Well, I'm really impressed that we got him. I know that sounds quite a shock,
who
but
else was after him though?
I think Aston Villa had a look at him.
Were they?
I think so. And there was who else was it? Nottingham Forest, I do believe, showed an interest in him. It might not have been Nottingham Forest. It might have been Ipswich. Actually, I can't remember now. It was one of the, one of the lower half of the league clubs. But I do believe Aston Villa had a look at him. So
Okay, maybe you're right.
I'm
I don't
I
think
could be wrong, but
there wasn't a clamour for his signature. It's not like we
no,
beat
no,
anyone
no.
off.
But
I
there
don't
were
think.
a few people interested in him. Yeah.
That said, I think we negotiated a really good deal
Mm.
for a highly rated player,
What was
um,
it? 23 million, wasn't it?
something like that. And
Yeah,
I think they wanted 30 something, didn't I? I'm not sure
yeah.
if there was some kind of release clause or something.
I
There
would
was
imagine there's a
some
sell-on
rumours
clause.
that were throughout the transfer, there's rumours, right? And there's lots of nonsense out there. But there were some rumours about a bit of clever dealing and triggering a release clause and landing
Yeah.
Somerville. So either way, I think it's a clever bit of business. We haven't seen
I'm
bundles
impressed.
of him yet, but I think he'll succeed. I think he's going to be a success at West
I
Ham. I
mean,
don't think it's going to be a
I
problem.
think also, Jeff, that if you asked 1,000 West Ham fans from various, you know, seats in the stadium, and you got 62,500 people to choose from. If you asked 1,000 people who they would prefer to see actually staying at the club or being at the club and trying to work that left hand side, him or Maxwell, or Cornet, sorry, Max Cornet. If you, I would say 89, 90% of the people would say Somerville. You know,
Well, I mean, I
I'm
don't want to cast
guessing.
a everyone's got their view, and I don't want to cast aspersions on anyone's opinion because that means that you're elevating yourself above them, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that. But
No,
I
no,
would
no, no. But
question the ten
I'm just
percent
saying
that
that.
might choose Maxwell Cornet above him.
Yeah, no, but I would have been one of those though.
Okay,
That's the point I'm saying. I really wanted Max Cornet to succeed at West Ham because I saw how damn good he was at Burnley.
sure,
You
but a lot of water went under the bridge from when he arrived and when he departed, and I don't
know.
think he departed the same player as he arrived, and people might attribute that for a lot of reasons. Personally, I don't think he's ever really got over his injury, and I don't think he ever looked the same footballer again. But that's just my view.
Yeah, yeah. there was still moments of brilliance in him, but only moments, and that's the problem.
Yeah, there was a
You
few
can't,
moments of couldn't
yeah,
pass the ball 10
you
yards.
can't be sort of like romantic about it. You got to play hardball when it comes to a club succeeding. You can't be romantic about it, and that's all it was with Cornet for me. It was a bit
Yeah,
of like romanticism because I saw how bloody good he was at Burnley,
Abby's
and just
obviously keen to see Somerville here, Budgie. She says,
mm,
Somerville, she needs to see more of him. He needs to
yeah,
start. How
yeah,
can he not be up to speed? She doesn't understand that.
yeah,
He's played about 30 games in the Prem the season before last. And
yeah.
obviously, he was player of the season for Leeds last year in the
Last
Championship.
season,
Um, Personally, I think he's going to get his game time. I think he's going to get his minutes, and I think he might even get into the starting 11. I just think um, his team's starting to evolve slowly, and we've seen a little bit of the evolution. I think Tadebo's the next step in that evolution. We've seen Wan-Bissaka come in. I don't see him getting shifted.
no,
Kilman's
mate.
obviously come in.
If he does get shifted out, then I'd be very
Yeah,
disappointed.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tadebo's come in. We can see, the midfield now, the options in that midfield.
yeah,
If you put it across Alvarez, Rodriguez, Paqueta,
yeah.
and people want Irving to play. I don't see how Irving gets anywhere near the team,
No,
right?
no, no. And if
So
you
I
were
think
to
we
lose
will
one
see get
or
back to
more of the above,
to
you've
get
got
back to
Kudus
Happy's
that can
point.
step in there, or
I think we're
oh,
going to
would
see him. I think he will get integrated in the team. I think it's just
I
part of
think.
the
Well, you see,
evolution.
the thing
The
is, at the moment, and I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing what I've heard on other channels. That Somerville is he's been brought in to play as that left winger. Okay, that's the ultimate goal for him, is to be our left-sided attacking player, where we've always struggled. I mean, we've had some reasonable players put out there, and they can't cope with demand of the job out on the left, because usually that's obviously the right side of the opponents, which is usually a very strong side, and therefore the left-sided players tend to struggle a tad with it. I mean, like, Pablo Fornals was no mug, and when he was put out on the left, he was made to look like one. And also with Ben Rama. Ben Rama's a 10 naturally, and we were sticking him out on that left wing. Lucas Paqueta, we're not seeing the best of him by him being out on that left wing.
I'm never really convinced by
Kudus,
Ben Rama's quality. I mean, I know that
okay,
sort of split
that's
split views in the fan base. Some think he's better than others. Um, he's in France now, and I think it's probably the league he should be in, and he'll probably do well
yeah,
in it.
it probably will do very well in it. But
Yeah,
to be fair, he was more of a 10 or a striker, and we never used him as such. So
yeah.
you're not going to get the best out of him, are you? Happy says the two lightweight player stuff is bull.
She's talking about Somerville. Obviously,
Yeah,
the comments about him being a bit lightweight.
yeah. And
Um,
she says, look at Lanzini. Yeah, quite a small framed guy. He done very well, didn't he? Dimitri
yeah,
Payet was quite a small framed guy. He done
he
very
is, but
well.
I do think like that Somerville is a little bit lightweight. But it doesn't mean I expect him to go into the gym and bulk up
No.
and suddenly be like a beast like Antonio's frame or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think he needs to learn to use his body a little bit better, right, and be a little bit stronger and not get brushed off with the ball so easily. And I
But
think
his
in that
but his
respect, he needs
game
to
is
get a bit stronger.
yeah, but his game, Jeff, is minimum contact.
Sure, but the Premier League's not a minimum contact sport. So when he does his minimum
No, but the
contact,
way he plays,
I'm going to skip by you, and you're going to have to
yeah,
catch me. That's
yeah.
great, and he can do that when he can do that. But
Mm.
you can't get away with doing that all of the time. So he's got to learn to be able to mix it up when he. You look at Kudus. Kudus hold 4 people off of him and then still come out with the ball, right?
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting Somerville should do that or
Look
should
at
be able to do
Wan-Bissaka's
that,
ball
but
across.
all I'm saying, he's got to be, a bit stronger in that. But it's about how you use your body, right? You just got to learn. He's young, and I
Yeah,
think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
I think he will, and I think we'll be very surprised at how good he is. Or
Anyway, we'll
pleasantly
move along. Just one thing I want to say.
yeah,
Just notice again the length of the contracts. Kilman's contract till 31, and
right,
Somerville again till 29, a 5-year deal. So a lot of these players on quite long contracts. Now, whether that's a
yeah.
good or a bad thing remains to be seen, but it could
Well,
be quite
it
shrewd.
yeah, exactly. And somebody like Somerville, you know, who knows? In 2 years' time, with 3 years on his contract, someone's going to be putting in £50 million bid for him. Perhaps. Do you know what
Maybe
I mean? You know, it's a possibility. You know.
it's
Okay,
possible,
let's
but
move on.
it's
Let's move on.
ifs and buts in it.
Yeah,
So then we come to Nicholas Fulcrook, which I don't think any of us were expecting to sign because we'd spent most of the transfer window flirting with John Duran and messing Aston Villa about, really. I mean, they were ready to do business and they told us the price. And they said, if you give us this amount of money, you can have the player. And the player was willing to join us.
yeah,
And in true Sullivan style, we tried to structure the deal this way, that way, or offer this and offer that.
yeah,
And in the end, no deal was done. We put our attentions elsewhere and signed Nicholas Fulcrook. Um, Quite a difference between the two players, um, not only in age demographic, but also in style of play. So at the time, lots of people were quite confused by that, and I think you can understand why they might have been a bit confused by that. But we've signed this player from Borussia Dortmund, German international, 31 years old, um, signed until 2028. So on a 4-year deal.
yeah. That's
Um,
that's that's
Good
quite a
footballer,
decent price
right?
for a 4-year deal. Yeah, he's a
He's a
baller.
good footballer.
Yeah,
His career stats are there. He's got 421 appearances, 159 goals with 55 assists. Of those, in the Bundesliga, 157 appearances with 56 goals and 18 assists. So he's sort of a 1 in 3 striker, right?
yeah, yeah,
In the Champions League, 13 appearances, 3 goals, about 1 in 4 in the Champions League.
yeah.
Not a huge amount of appearances in the Champions League, to be fair to him.
But then
So,
Borussia Dortmund
as
have
I
a
say, German
Champions League team.
international, you know, pretty well-rounded, good footballer, and he arrives at West Ham. What do we think about that in comparison? Not in comparison to, because this is the player that we've got. So,
Yeah.
what do we think of that signing?
Well, I think that he is a natural successor to Antonio. To be fair, big, heavy striker, doesn't get bullied off the ball. He's good at turning and shooting. He's good up in the air. He's good at holding up play. As you quite rightly read out, he's had 56 career assists, which isn't bad for a striker. Do you know what I mean? It's like a third of his goal tally. He's also got as assists, so over 200 goal involvements in his career. So he knows where the back of the net is. It's the pressures of playing in the Premier League. Really, that is the only thing that's holding him back at the moment. And he's finding his way. He's only had, what is it, 2 appearances in the Premier League.
He started the game against Bournemouth, didn't he? And he came on. Did he come on as a sub against Palace? And did he come on?
Hang on, Bournemouth.
Has he got some? He started
That
against
was
Bournemouth,
that was
didn't he?
pre-season though, wasn't it?
In the cup, he started against
Oh, in
Bournemouth.
the cup. Sorry. Yes, he did.
Mm.
Yes, I forgot about the cup game.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. So,
He's
but
had very few
you know,
limits. He's a new player in a new team, right? And he looks like a
in a
new
new
player in a
league,
new team, in a new league. Yeah.
you know,
Um, the only thing that worried me about him, I did think he looked a little bit clumsy. What was who was the goals? It must have been Palace because Souček scored, didn't he? And
yeah,
passed the ball into the net, and it kind of come off of Fulkrug's heel out to him, didn't he? You know, he looked
yeah,
a bit clumsy a couple of times when I've seen him, but I just think, like I say, I just think he looks like a new player in a new team in a new league. You know, just a bit of adjustment there. And I really hope he comes good. I really want him to succeed, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
and now he's injured, right? So we'll see what
yeah, but
happens from
he don't
there.
do bad at international level either, does he? You know,
No.
he, he's done quite well. He got himself a goal last week, didn't he? So, you know,
And
let's
here,
just,
Happy saying, you know, she's fuck rug. She says she likes him, but she did feel a smidge disappointed because of the Duran idea. And but I think that's a fair comment, right? From one to the other is quite a switch around, isn't it? Um, However, she says once this injury is out of the way, she thinks he'll be a crucial cog in the team. And bad luck with that injury. I tend to agree with her. I have to say, I think he would be an important player for us as the season goes on. I just
yeah,
hope that the injury is not a long term one that's going to have him out for a long time. But we'll see with that. And Happy says she really had her heart set out on an out and out striker that was going to smash it up in the league. Fuck Rug, in her opinion, is not that. But he will contribute goals and assists. And yeah, I can't really argue with that.
no,
I sort of
no,
share that sentiment, if I'm
yeah,
honest.
that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. You know,
And she goes on to say it took a lot of balls for him to step up for that pen on his debut, and a massive shame he missed it. Out of around 28 pens, that was only his third one he'd missed. Just our luck. It is just our luck, and it was a pretty poor penalty as well, to be
yeah,
fair. But hey ho, it's friendly. It's a non-competitive game. It really meant nothing. It would have been nice for him to get a goal, and it would have been better if he didn't miss a penalty. But no one's getting hung up on it, I don't think. So the next guy through the door, anyway, is Guido Rodriguez, and I must admit he came with much fanfare of being World Cup winner and Argentinian international and one thing or another. And I really didn't know who he was, to be honest with you.
no,
I don't know if you did, but he's a free transfer from Real Betis.
yeah,
Apparently, he was due to go to Barcelona or somewhere, wasn't he? And that
yeah,
fell
yeah.
through.
I think that, yeah, they were looking at him
And we've ended up with him, and
on a free.
on a free. Yeah, you know, he's another one of our 30 somethings, but again, a free transfer. If we look at what he's actually done, I didn't know about him, but if you look at what he's done coming into the team, another new player, by the way, coming into a new team in a new league, he really looked a little bit out of his depth against Aston Villa, and I thought, oh God, he's running through treacle there. He seems to have adapted to the league and the pace of the game remarkably quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Does not look
I
like
mean,
the same player from the
I
first game
actually
in
thought
any of
we,
our other games.
yeah, I actually thought we'd got ourselves another Thomas Socek. But in reality, what we've got is kind of like a player that wants to be a Scott Parker, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's a
He's
good
got a good
footballer, isn't
pass
he?
on, and he's got a good pass on him. I expect he's got a cracker of a shot on him. You know, we'll see all of that in the future, hopefully. But you know, yeah, I thought we were getting a Thomas Socek, but we didn't. We got like a Scott Parker type player, one that wants to play ball. You know, so yeah,
Yeah,
I'm quite happy with that signing.
yeah, me too. I must admit. I mean, I didn't really know about him.
No,
Um,
no,
I saw his profile and I thought, oh, I don't know, is this the player we want to be bringing in? But if you weigh it all up, regardless of all that, on a free transfer, come in, look like the player he looks like coming in the door. Don't think it can be classed as bad business myself.
God no, God
Happy
no.
says Rodders, she really likes what he brings to the midfield. Slightly on the slow side, she guesses, but his talent shows. 100% upgrade on Tatty in midfield, and listen, you can't really argue with any of that, in my
No,
opinion.
no, that's the
Uh,
point. The thing is
and
that,
Thomas, bless him, I love Thomas, right? I actually think he's got a role to play. I know not everybody
listen,
um,
I would
wants to
not.
embrace that, but he's not the same footballer as Rodriguez, and there's no shame in admitting that, I don't think.
Mm, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
so our next signings were Jean-Claire Todibo. We've signed him on a loan deal from Nice with an
yeah,
obligation.
excellent. I like that
24
idea.
years old. And another one I didn't know an awful lot about, highly rated.
Mhm.
Uh, some were calling for him to be played from the start as soon as he walked in the door. But one thing I did do, when I looked up on him, I saw that actually he hadn't played a lot of football since early July. So for me, there was question marks over his match fitness, and I think in his appearances so far, I think he's been exposed as that. But hopefully, he's been here a couple of 3 weeks now. By the time Saturday comes around, hopefully he will be a lot closer to being in match fit. I personally, I actually hope he starts on
Well,
Saturday
yeah, I mean,
against Fulham.
I
But
quite like the
if
idea
he's
of
ready,
him
if
and,
he's fit, I would like
yeah,
to see him.
him and Kilman as the centre.
Yeah, that would be like. I would like to see
And
that.
our next signing, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, on the right there as well. Because look, when we got him, I was led to believe that he was great defender, but lousy going forward. That's basically a roundup of what 50 different people have said to me. You know, I've wanted him at West Ham for probably the best part of the last 5 years. I've always liked him. I've always thought he was a good player. I'm so glad that we got him. And against Crystal Palace, the team he started his professional career with, he showed why we paid 15 million quid for him. He showed that in the first game for me, why we paid that money for him.
Just
And
before
I'm,
we get too involved with Wan-Bissaka, I'll just read this
oh, gone.
comment from Happy because it's about Todibo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Obviously she must be beside herself with all these new players because
Yeah.
she's nicknamed him Libido.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the very few minutes she's seen of him, he looks a very decent player, but it seems he will take longer to adapt to the league than others we've signed. Personally, I'm not sure if it's a matter of adapting to the league, although it may be. Uh, but I absolutely think he hasn't been fit thus far
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the pace of the Premier League.
And during this
Maybe that's what
international
she
break,
means. He's had times to work on it and
yeah,
work with the team a bit longer. So
yeah,
hopefully, anyway, getting back to Wan-Bissaka, carry on with
yeah,
Wan-Bissaka.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I've just been really impressed with the first glimpses we've had of him. And he worked. Okay, he came on. Um, was it? Yeah, it was the Palace game, wasn't it? He came on as a sub.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he actually blew me away with how well he fitted in straight away, and he got himself an assist. You know, on his on his debut, I believe it was. So for me, Wan-Bissaka has been
I don't know if he got an
kind of,
assist.
well, he did, because when he was out, he took the ball over the top of the Palace player, ran up the wing a little bit with it, ran
Yeah.
into 2 or 3 more players,
Fell
and
over,
passed the
knocked the
ball,
ball inside.
knocked the ball inside. Who then went on to go and score?
Bowen passed it, didn't it? And then Paquetá hit a fucking shot, didn't he? That was going for the corner flag,
Oh
wasn't it?
God, yeah,
Then
that's
it
it.
bounced off of Fulkrug's heel, and
Oh,
then
that's right. That's right.
Souček
Yeah,
passed
sorry.
it in the net.
So, oh no, it was an assist. Wasn't an assist then, but you know, like it was an integral part of that goal anyway. You know what I mean? or if that
No, he
that's
did
how.
brilliantly
And
well when he
I
came on.
thought, I
Aside
just
from that,
thought he showed why we paid the money for him,
but
and I'm
talking
so
about his
glad.
attacking record, it kind of shows up in his stats. If you look at his career stats, there he's had 239 appearances, he scored 2 goals with 17 assists.
Hmm,
In the Premier League, he's had 174 of those appearances in the Premier League,
yeah,
with 2 goals and 13 assists. And in the European competitions that he's played in, that includes the Europa League and Champions League games that
yeah,
made 35 appearances with no goals and 2 assists. So people say about he's not great going forwards and one thing and another, and certainly being directly involved prior to a goal, i.e., assists and
yeah,
scoring goals himself. Those stats bear that up. But it
yeah.
doesn't mean that he can't be influential going forwards. As you alluded to in the game,
Mm,
he he was the one that drove the ball from the edge of our own 18-yard box almost up to the edge of their 18-yard
yeah,
box. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
ended up laying the ball off and the team combined to do the rest thereafter, right?
yeah,
But he's a major contributor to that action. So
yeah,
he might
yeah.
not get an assist for it, but he
Yeah, no, that's
absolutely
right. Yeah, but
influenced the play, right?
and yeah, it kind of lifted the team a little bit. I think Bowen became a little bit more active when he came on.
Bowen
You
sort of
know,
came a little bit narrower, didn't he, when
yeah, he sort of
AWB came on in
didn't
that
have to
game?
do the defensive duty anymore.
I don't know if it's just about that. I think there was a slight formation tweak as well, to be fair, which is another
To be
thing
fair,
that
there
we've seen
probably was, but
from
I mean,
Lopetegui that we didn't
Wan-Bissaka,
see previously.
yeah, it'd be nice to see how many career clean sheets he's been involved in.
Oh God, I'm sure there's a stat somewhere, but I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
going to search for that
but
now.
yeah, I'm wondering if because he is a good defender over and above everything
Oh,
else. He's a good
he's been
defender.
excellent since he came in for us. If he continues in that vein, much the same as Kilman, they're going
Yeah,
to be massive successes for West Ham, and there's no
yeah,
question about it. Happy
yeah,
saying, AWB, what a fucking player. He is typical bums off seats, big time. He's exciting to watch, tries everything, and for such a low fee in reality, a bargain. Manx have proper let go of a good one there. It's true. He's been in the short time he's been here. He's done all of those things,
exactly
and
that.
looks he's demonstrating that he will be superb value for money. So can you
Mm.
stop putting these really, really good points up, because I have to keep agreeing with you, or I can't
Yeah,
argue with any of them.
yeah, yeah. But the thing is
And she
about her,
says she
she is.
swears Stighton is gay. So these players we've bought are in our hot. I'd argue Stighton's definitely not gay. They are. I don't know if he is or not. He might be, but I just thought I've got to argue with her about something.
But yeah, that's the point about Happy. I mean, she is so knowledgeable about the team and about football in general. To be fair,
Yeah,
you
she's
know
made
that's
lots of points I lean towards and agree with this evening. That's for sure.
yeah, mate. Yeah, proper clued up, that woman. Proper clued up. Well, you've
Yeah,
met her, you would know.
she says we need to get our own opinions.
I'll tell you what, Happy. Why don't you come on and do the show, and me and Jeff can bugger off and have a glass of wine.
Anyway, we come to our final couple of signings. One of them's been
Yeah.
sort of overlooked and forgotten about, but I've included him because
Mhm.
maybe, along with Guilherme, this is one of the little pearls we've been talking about. It remains to be seen, but his
Yeah.
potential. But we'll get to him.
Mhm.
On the final day, we brought in Carlos Soler. He's a loan
Great
deal
bit.
from PSG with an option.
Great bit of work.
Do you think so?
I do.
I'm not sure if I understand the point of this signing, if I'm honest.
Well,
Unless we get 9 months of great football out of Soler before he goes somewhere else, and that's what the whole plan is, then okay, let's enjoy it while he's here. But
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, it's kind of like, yeah, look, yeah, it's kind of like you're into Formula One, aren't you, Jeff?
Not very much, no.
But you kind of get the concept, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay. So if, let's just say, for example, argument's sake, who's the team right at the back at the moment? Williams, right? If
Right.
Williams was was like approached by Ferrari, for example, and
Mm.
they said, right, we're going to give you works engines, gearboxes, right, and we're going to give you all the mechanical know-how and the team to do that for one season, free of charge, but you're going to have to buy the engines off of us next year. Do you think Williams would turn that down?
Um, they might not turn it down, but if Williams know they can't afford to buy the engines next year, why would they enter the deal?
Get their name back up the top.
Sure. So if he's here for the
Once you do
season,
that, money comes rolling
fine.
in, and then they can afford to buy them engines next year.
Can we
You know
though?
that
Well,
well.
his wages
The
are
thing,
like 250 grand a week. So
okay.
are we going to be paying that kind of wage to
Well, no,
him
we're
next year?
probably only paying a half of that at the
But next
moment.
year, is he going to take a
Yes,
wage drop then
but
and pay take
probably.
a
But
50% wage cut?
what happens if we qualify
And he
for
would still be
Europa
one of
next
our
year?
top players, right? At
Hmm.
125k a
Yeah,
week.
but what if we qualify for Europa next year and he's been integral in that? Are we going to want to let him go?
Now, I just don't understand I don't understand the concept of the deal. If we're saying we've got this super footballer that we've got in on loan, and we've got an option attached to it, but we can't really afford him. We know we can't afford him. Now, by the way, the club have just come out. Now, I'm kind of probably getting a bit ahead of things now, but the club have come out and said we ain't going to have money in January, very limited funds, and we might be next couple of years, right? Now, so how do you get Carlos Soler then? How
Well,
do you afford him if you can't afford a January window?
with him there, and with Alvarez, and with um, what's his name, Rodriguez there, we don't need Thomas Socek. Thomas Socek is a
Thomas
commodity
Soucek
that we
doesn't
can sell.
subsidise Carlos Soler, does it?
No, not on his own, no. But then we've also replaced Socek, and we're going to let Aaron Creswell go at the end of the season. We're going to let other people go. Other
I
people will be
still
moved
don't
on.
understand how you can say our top wage is 125k a week,
Mm.
and now you're going to have a player that is on twice that. I don't understand how we can
Would you turn
possibly
that?
do
What if
it.
he's another, Gundogan, or another, N'Golo Kante, or just a player that really, really, really makes a difference
Yeah,
because
but
he's got that capability. Why do you
it,
think he was at PSG?
well, I mean,
They obviously
his
saw
league
something in him,
league on stats, right? I don't know how long he's been there. He's made 50 appearances in the time he's been there.
right?
So he's been 2 years. He's
Hmm.
injured quite a lot as well, you know.
Is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I say that. He picks up injuries a season. He's out a few weeks here, a few weeks there. I mean, it happens, right? If you're going to play in the middle of
Ankle
the park,
knocks and stuff
you're
like
going to
that.
take knocks and you're going to be involved in tackles. Yeah, yeah. So I'm not like running him down and say he's injury prone or anything like that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
he,
He's
he,
not
he picks up.
Zuma. Sure.
No, no, he's not. He's not Zoom. And I don't really know him as a player, right? I don't
Well,
know him
I,
that
I've
much
heard
about it. You're
I've heard
raving about
I've
him. I'm
heard a
just
little.
saying
Well, I've
for the
heard a
wage
little bit about
structure,
him, mate. I
don't
get.
understand
Listen,
how the club
I'm
can do it.
fairly sure that he would take a wage cut. I'm fairly sure he would. If we get European football next year, I'm talking about Europa League, not the Conference League. But even Conference League would be tempting to him. But if we got Europa League football next season, he would probably be willing to take a price cut, a wage cut, to play regular football and European football with a team that have already got a reasonable history in that competition. Let's
Yeah,
not
maybe. I mean, you
forget.
might be right. You might be absolutely right, and it could be like Stighton could be weaving his little web of magic, right? And we get him a knockdown price, and he takes 2/3 of his wages or something. That is whatever.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
might say, "Well, look,
who
make it
knows?
150, and I'll come."
But
Do you know what I mean?
where I'm sitting right now, with the noises that the club are making when the
Yeah,
windows barely shut,
yeah.
and then it's revealed what kind of salary this guy is on,
Mhm.
I just question how the club can possibly
I
make
mean,
that
the
a
thing
permanent
is,
deal.
they might actually say to him, "Listen, right, we've got you on loan. We're paying half your wages at the moment,
Yeah,
but the thing is, what we're paying you is our price cap. That's our wage cap. We're not going to go over that. If you want to
yeah,
come to us next season, that's going to be your wage." I'm pretty sure that would be what the club would lay down in front of him, you
we'll
know,
see.
because, well, we know that the club are never going to be paying 250.
Yeah, they can't afford to anyway, can they?
Not unless it was, Haaland or
And
Harry
then
Kane or
whatever's got
something.
whoever written into their contract, and Kudus goes, well, hold up a minute. And
Mm.
Bowen goes, yeah, I signed a long deal, but I'm supposed to be in the top however many of
Yeah,
paid players. And everyone's wages gets right,
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
inflated, right? And the club just can't see. In all seriousness, can't afford to be doing stuff like that.
Mm.
Anyway, Happy says she likes what she's read about Solar, but she hasn't seen him play at all, so she's going to reserve judgment. However, she believes that it's a Pax replacement if he is banned or sold in the summer. And maybe that is the succession plan, perhaps.
Perhaps. He's a baller. Definitely a baller.
She also says, why wouldn't you take a wage cut to play in the best league in the world? It has to be most players' aspirations, doesn't it? I mean, it does. And yet, Tony's just gone to Saudi for
Yeah,
money,
but
right? For
yeah,
money.
but his name has been tainted in this country.
James, evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, James. Yeah, his name has been tainted in this country at the moment. He's got a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth when you say his name, haven't you? Because of this betting ban that he's just come on. So player teams are less likely to take a risk with a player like that.
Sure, but
I
there's
mean,
players that have gone to Saudi, other examples that have
yeah,
gone there, and just purely for
the
financial gain,
money,
which is
of
okay.
course.
It's okay if they that's what they want to do and they're open about it. No,
Yeah,
no problem. I'm not putting a slight on them. But it is what it is, right? They've gone for the money, and so what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean people will take wage cuts to play in a certain league necessarily. I think it's
yeah,
perhaps on personality as to whether they will, whether they won't.
yeah.
James asks, "Are you watching the England game?" I'll be honest, James. It's on my screen here, but I haven't watched it at all. If I'm honest, uh, nil
What's the
nil
score?
looks
Yeah, I'll
absolutely
see.
thrilling. I think I haven't missed a lot.
Yeah, Bowen didn't start then.
Bowen didn't start. I kind of lost interest. I only switched it on in case that was the case.
Yeah,
Ivan has already
yeah.
made a name for himself. I bet he is happy in Saudi. Let's
He
see what happy
probably
says.
will be. He probably will be.
Anyway, moving on to our final signing, unless we get any free agents in, what with injuries and whatnot, is I can't say his first name, Mohamedou, I think, Mohamedamou or something, Conti.
Mm. Yeah,
Undisclosed from Paris, youngster, 18 years old. Good reviews about him. Know absolutely nothing about him, if I'm perfectly honest. And immediately loaned back to Paris FC, the club that he came from. Uh,
yeah,
Personally, I don't have a problem with that. If this is one of Tim Steighton's pearls, and he's actually going to be a pearl,
yeah.
we've sent him back to his club, spends another year there, perhaps bring him back next year, have a look at him, see what his development's like. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I want to see West Ham doing now, and I think
He's
we haven't
18
done
years
enough.
old, yeah.
18 years old, and we've signed him on a contract till 2029 as well.
Well,
So,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
so
I mean,
another one of those long deals.
we've always, I mean, I presume you're similarly minded to me. I've always believed that the loan system really works well for a young player. Um, and, he's already established in that setup at Paris FC. So it seems like the logical choice is to loan him back to the club that we've got him from so that, he can continue his development. We've obviously seen something in him to go and make that move.
Looks like
So,
Kane's just scored.
oh, was he?
Yeah, I think so. Unless it's
It's
a
about,
ruled out again.
yeah, it's about time if it
Oh,
is.
so Happy says Kane has actually scored. Look.
Yeah, excellent. About time. But yeah, I think, with that Kante, I think he's, as you said, he's one of the pearls that's been left to just grow a little in his own little
Oh
yard, if you
dear.
like, No upheavals, just literally a change in parent club. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
absolutely. And
He's
he's
been
been at
given
that
us,
club. We've seen what we've seen in him. So we don't think that the club's not doing the right thing by him. Send him back.
yeah,
He's young. He's not going to get a sniff
yeah,
in our team.
not at
Send
the
him out there
moment.
another year. Let his development continue. Bring him back next year. See what he's like. Let's have a look at him.
Yeah, yeah.
Happy
Um,
says, He looks like a bit of a beefcake for an 18-year-old. Looking forward to seeing him next season, hopefully.
yeah,
It'll be another one you can drool over, Happy, I expect.
yeah.
She does seem quite happy with the signings
Get,
on the.
gets through quite a few tissues, I would
Yeah.
imagine. You know what I mean?
So
But
overall, looking at the window, we've
yeah,
run through the players.
yeah.
Uh, what what would you? How do you feel about it? What's your view on the transfer window budget?
I'm really happy that we were so active so quickly. I really was happy about that. I mean, when
Went
Kilman
quiet for a
came
long
in,
time after that, though, didn't it?
yeah, but when Kilman came in, that was kind of steady in the boat, you know, ready for the mass onslaught that was about to come. And we had no idea what was going to happen. It was a pleasant surprise when, all the other players started rolling through the door, you know. Okay, Fotherington was a bit of a surprise, I've got to be honest. But quite a pleasant surprise. Like we suggested earlier, he's got experience, got a bit of, he's got age, so he's got the maturity. Do you know what I mean? He's
I think out of all of
he's
it, I
happy.
mean,
He's happy with his
it's a
position.
nothing signing. We signed the goalkeeper. He's a third goalkeeper. I think he's decent for what his role is.
Yeah,
Um, I got no problem with it
no,
really.
yeah.
So overall, you say you're happy with the transfer window. You think we've done good
I am.
business.
Yeah, I think we've done some really good business. I think maybe in most people's minds, Fulkrug would be uh, the hair in the back of the throat moment. Do we really know what it's about? Is he good enough, etc., etc. We haven't seen a great deal from him yet, but I feel that he'll grow into it better. I feel that we will start seeing the player we deserve. That's what I think.
So as we're happy, generally speaking, you're happy. I think I'm happy. Right? I'm not unhappy about it. So we have a look at a comparison of last season's business to this season's business. So last year we had a squad of 24, and the average age of that squad was 28.2. We spent 144.56 million in the window to recruit players of an average age of 24.6.
Yeah.
We gained income of 170 million. That's quite skewed because obviously it was down to the rice money that came in that boosted that pot.
Yeah.
And the average age of the players we shipped out was 25.6, right? So we had a net profit at the end of last summer's transfer window of 25.9 million, nearly 26 million pound, and it put us in the Prem spending table in eighth position. We ultimately we finished ninth, so kind of there or thereabouts to the spending. I don't know, it's a direct correlation, but
it's comparable.
It's comparable. So this year we've got a squad of 24 again. The average age has actually increased to 28.6 from 28.2. The outlay almost the same, 144.4 million. This time, the average age of the players recruited were 25.7, so around about a year older than the previous window. Income generated was 44.75 million. Actually, if you take out, this is all in euros, by the way. So if you take out the rice money, it's actually very, very comparable to our income that we generated outside of the rice sale last year. The average age of the player we shipped out this year, slightly older than last year, 26.2. Kind of makes sense though, because we did have a bit of an aging squad, didn't we? So some of the players we shifted were going to be a bit older. And we've got a net spend this window of minus 99.65 million euros. And it takes us to the Prem spending table to sixth spot. So I don't know if that should or shouldn't lift our elevations to our league position, but it does demonstrate where we lie in the spending table. For our 144 million plus that we outlaid last year, our squad consisted of 7 players over 30 years old. And this year it's expanded, although we have shed Ogbonna from the previous squad. Emerson has also stepped into the 30-something time frame now, who obviously wasn't last year. And we've recruited the likes of Fodringham, Rodriguez, and Fulkrook. Now, so what it sort of does for me, it begs a bit of a question, because one of the huge criticisms, among others, that we had of the previous regime was that we had the smallest and second oldest squad in the Premier League, and that was often used as a stick. This year, the squad size hasn't changed, but the average age has actually increased, and we have surpassed Fulham now and become the oldest squad in the Premier League. So although we've just sat here and said we're all quite happy with the window, and generally speaking, the fan base seems pretty happy with the window. There might be people who want a player here or a player there, or would have preferred this, but overall, I think we're generally happy with the window. And yet, we've increased our over 30 somethings in our squad and increased the average age of our squad. So the question it begs for me is, was age not really the problem? And was it the personnel that we were upset with?
Maybe.
Rather than the age of the personnel? I don't know. I don't know. But I'd love to, like, everyone let me know in the comments and in the chat what you think. But it just seems a strange thing that the fan base seems pretty satisfied overall with our transfer window, and yet this statistic, I think if let me put it another way, if the previous regime had still been here and recruited these players in and increased our average age and added a few 30-somethings to our squad, would it have been as well received as it seems to have been under the new regime?
I
I
would
don't know.
hazard
What do
a
you
guess
think,
that
Pudgy?
I would hazard a guess that no, it wouldn't have been as well received because, well, the thing was, a large number of the fan base, as we know, were definitely anti David Moyes and definitely wanted him out,
Yeah.
etc., etc.
I
So
think even
anything
if
he
you
did,
weren't anti David Moyes, there was even a large proportion of the fan base that, even if they weren't anti David Moyes, were probably at the stage of saying,
we
yeah,
needed
but
a
we
change.
do need a change. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that would have just been another stick to beat him with, wouldn't it? Let's be
Oh,
fair.
that he would have absolutely copped for it. And I'm kind of having a bit of a giggle about it, and it's a little bit mischievous, but I'm not trying to stir up a problem or make a thing out of it. It's just an observation I made, and I thought, God,
Yeah,
that's interesting. You know,
mm, yeah,
and I haven't
yeah,
seen anyone really make any mention of it prior. Like,
mm,
uh,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, we've also recruited, as you pointed out, a couple of really young prospects,
yeah,
and a
which
couple
may
of
not have
other,
happened under the previous regime either, right?
possibly not, possibly not.
So.
Um, so, I think the fact that, yes, we are recruiting for the here and now, but we're also recruiting for tomorrow, you know,
Yeah.
and we can see that in the appointments that we've made this
And
year.
we've got the academy also, right? We've got
Of
we've
course,
we've got a crop of young players that, you know, we always get a few excited about a few youngsters, and we always think this one's going to be the next best thing, right? But I honestly think we have got a group of youngsters here that are on the verge of
yeah, of course. And
of
the thing is,
really
though,
becoming something for potentially for West Ham.
for
And
the future, yeah, yeah.
I
I
hope
mean,
they
the thing
do.
is, it's a massive step, though, um, as we've all, you know, kind of discussed before, going from like the academy setup into a first team setup is a huge step. And, sometimes when there's an element of success for that player, it tends to breed the wrong kind of attitude in the player. I'm going to use what's his name as the example. The young lad that's just gone to Man City. Um, what's his
Obama.
name? Mabama. That's it. I think his few first team appearances kind of got him above his station in his own mind. That's my belief, and I think the demands that he was making were probably unreasonable.
But there
Um,
was a section of the fan base who were very keen to see more of him, very keen to shout about his talents.
of course,
Uh,
yes,
uh,
at West Ham,
right.
definitely,
But when
we
we
all
saw
wanted that.
him, and we all said, or lots of people said, he didn't have his opportunities. Oh, he hasn't been given a chance. But
Mm,
I would say when he was given his chances, I would question if he made the most of the opportunities that he had. And I agree with
mm.
you. I think he elevated, ultimately in the end, elevated himself above his station a little bit in the
Yeah,
end,
and
in
I
my opinion.
believe that. Yes, he scored a couple of decent goals. Well, say decent goals, important goals. He scored a couple of important goals. But I just I think that there was probably just something burning in his mind that said, "Look, I can do better than this." And he thinks that Man City is the destination where he can achieve it.
I'm a
Good
bit
luck to him.
surprised he ended up there,
Yeah, I am too. And
but
I've got no animosity towards him at all, not at all. I don't know the guy.
No, I got no animals. Good luck to
You
him
know,
if he goes and makes a career, and
exactly
good
that.
luck to
You
him.
know, I just think he's probably going to be struggling to get into a first team setup at Manchester City
I don't
for a
think he's getting
while.
anywhere near the first team at Manchester City. But I mean, we're all here to be proved wrong. But if you made me put £10 one way or the other, if how many minutes he was going to get for Manchester City this season, I'd happily put it on zero. If I had to bet, I put it on zero other than any other number.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like probably want to go 0 to 15 minutes and then 15 to 30 minutes. You know what I mean? I'd like to bet on 0 to 15 because
All
I
right,
don't think
fair
he'll
enough.
get any time.
Nah. Abby says she's impressed with the window. Shown we are
Yeah.
prepared to change things up massively.
Yeah.
Just need time for some of them to find their feet and for Loppy to find our best 11. Confident this will be a good year. I have to say, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I really echo that. I think we look like a new team with a new manager that's trying to change its playing style. And I think we're falling a little bit short. I think we're struggling to transition the football up through the field and up to the final third, trying to play a little bit around amongst ourselves, and we kind of run out of ideas and end up sending it a little bit long. And the times we've looked most effective is when we've played the counter-attacking football that most of the team are most familiar with, right? There's nothing wrong with counter-attacking, by the way, but we just need to get that section of the game, and it's all part of a process. And I can see the changes personally. I can see that we're trying to play a little bit differently. You can see
Yeah.
the substitutions that are being
Oh,
made. You can see the tactical changes that are being made during in the game. It's all very, very different to last year for
yeah.
me. Um, I've heard people say otherwise and allude otherwise, but I don't. I think you can see the changes, and I think we need to have some
Yeah.
patience and let's see where this team is and what 11 is out come November, December, because I think it's going to be very different to the team that's perhaps going to be out in the first 5 or 6 games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we've had two teams in the Champions League in our first 3 games this season in the
Yeah.
league.
Well, we were
So
poor against Villa, right?
we
And I
were.
don't think Villa were great. I think we both looked like two teams in their first game of the season that the season had perhaps come round a bit too, a week or two too early, right?
Yeah.
And on the day, they were marginally better than us. We could have nicked a draw out of it, but for and all of that. But we
Yeah.
didn't, and probably the best team won. I think we were a little bit fortunate at Palace, if I'm honest, not to be down at half time. Game could have been almost out of sight, like the last time we went there. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And in the end, I
Yeah.
think we got a justified result.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, I was largely unimpressed with both sides, I have to say.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate with Bowen's goal, and Bournemouth
I've only
probably the
actually
better team.
seen I've only actually seen the highlights of that game. So,
And City, we could have been 4 or 5 down at half time. Let's get it right, yeah.
oh God, yeah,
But we
yeah, oh
weren't,
yeah.
and we gave a decent
Ireland
account
could
of
have
ourselves
broken.
second half. And
Ireland could have broken the record and got 8 goals in that game. You know what I
if
mean?
games were 45 minutes long and that was our 45 minutes, we'd all be raving about it. But they're not. They're 90, and we need to start learning to play for 90 minutes. And
Yeah.
but again, this is this is all part of a new manager coming, a new team. There's new personnel.
Yeah.
I think it'll get better, and I'm not that disappointed with what I've seen. I see progress, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Happy that you can have all the talent in the world, but playing crap and not really defensive, boring football, and they would look shit anyway. I suppose. I think that might be a little dig at our previous manager, especially perhaps. So Hamby says when she sees AWB and Somerville etc. I see huge progression. Yeah, I agree, and that's the other thing. If you look at our bench now, and the previous manager, he's responsible for this because he wanted a small squad and he didn't get the kind of quality on the bench, and then he was reluctant to use them. But what you can say about Loppy is he's got a bench that he looks to that he can use, and then we've got players that can come on, change a dynamic or change a game, change a formation, and yeah, that's really nice. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
It's going to take time for our previous and existing players to get over the Moyes PTSD. Well, that's one way of putting it. Oh, and Happy says England are 2-0 up, which I just looked up and they are. And Kane again. Ah, well, that's why Jared can't get on the pitch, as he's hogging
Yeah,
it all.
it's unfortunate.
Anyway, we've kind of covered the transfers. Um, don't know if we've achieved very much, apart from killing an hour and 20 odd minutes. We've
Yeah.
got a game coming up against the weekend. How do you feel about it, Budgie? Are you approaching it with any confidence or not?
Hang on, remind me who we're playing.
We're away to Fulham on Saturday.
Fulham. That was it. Yeah. Well, last season they gave us a proper arse whooping.
Yeah, 7 goals
And
with no reply last
yes,
season.
yes. So I'm just praying that that's not the same. But then again, we got an arse whooping from Palace. What was it, 5-1, wasn't it, or something? 5-0,
5-2, wasn't it? They
5-2.
donated
Yeah,
us one,
5-2.
didn't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That was an arse whooping. So we kind of redeemed ourselves this season against them already.
Yeah.
It's like we can do the same against Fulham. I mean, we haven't had to go out of the city so far.
Evening,
Oh,
Tony. Thanks for
good
popping in,
evening,
mate.
Tony. Well, yeah, we haven't had to leave the city for any of these games so far.
No,
So let's just hope that that's been an omen for us, because you know we went to Palace, we took the points. Let's hope we can go to Fulham and take the points.
Happy says, if we put Bowen up top second half and Kudus goes right with Somerville on the pitch too, I think we will get all 3 points. Interesting to know, Happy, who would you put up top first half? If you're going to put Bowen up there for the second half, I'd be
I think the
interested.
answer to that would have to be Antonio.
Do you think
You
so?
know, yeah,
See, I have a problem with that.
okay,
Antonio plays 3 o'clock our time Wednesday morning in Honduras.
right,
And even if he gets on a flight after the game, right, it's about a 14 or 15-hour flight from
right,
Honduras.
yeah,
Now, that bloke looks like he's been absolutely whacked out, right, in our previous games. And you just said we ain't had to leave the city,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
And in fact,
I
in fairness,
question whether he's fit.
I
He's
had
fit.
forgotten that he was on international duty this week.
And I
I had
just don't
forgotten.
see. We know what he's like coming back from international duty,
Yeah,
and this is the thing with this international break. It started on Thursday and it finishes on Wednesday. It's been like a week. Like some teams had finished both their fixtures by Sunday or
yeah,
Monday, and then we've got Antonio, for example, playing Wednesday morning our time.
yeah.
Got to have a game at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. I just, I don't see him playing. That's why I ask, because I don't see. Ordinarily, I might agree with you. I would have said Fulkrug. I wanted Fulkrug to start this game originally, but obviously he's injured now, so there's no way he's going to start this game. So then we're down to, well, we've just gone through Antonio predicament. And we've kind of got
Yeah.
Danny Ings or Jared Bowen or
Mhm.
Do you,
Why
in
not try
light of what
Danny
we've
Ings for the
said,
first 45?
maybe, and in light of what we've said about us running out of ideas and pumping it up, does Thomas Suchek get to play this game so that he's the one that the boys thump the ball up to?
Maybe,
I'm not saying that's what I want to see.
maybe.
I'm just saying it's sort of what we've seen till now.
Yeah, yeah. But I think Lopetegui's trying to limit the amount of times we spend, lobbing the ball forward. You don't even see Areola doing it too often, unless the ball comes back to him like during open play, and he's got an attacker bearing down on him. You very rarely see him hitting it past the halfway line. Very rarely. Although he's capable, you very rarely see him do it. So my belief is that Lopetegui wants us to start playing it out from the back more. And, hopefully Danny Ings fits into that system, because
Yeah, I mean,
he got
I
3
think he is
goals
trying to
in
play out.
behind
Yeah,
closed doors.
yeah. I mean, Andy Irving got 2, so Andy Irving's got 3 goals. Yeah, and they're all against Dagenham and Redbridge. I haven't seen very much of Andy Irving, by the way. I was looking forward to seeing him because he was, done his little bits and pieces and was becoming a bit of a cult figure pre-season. And I got to
Yeah,
see him very briefly when he came on in one of the friendlies. Was it against Celta Vigo or maybe one of the American games?
yeah,
I was Well, I just thought he was a bit anonymous, to be honest, for what I saw of him then, and I haven't seen any more. I personally think if we could have got 4 or 5 million quid from him and sent him off to Celtic, I think we should have sent him and turned a nice little profit on him myself. I don't see him doing a lot for us in the Premier League, but if if he decided to stay and fight for his place, or the club blocked his move, whichever is right. And fair play. Let's see how he gets on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree, mate. I agree. Uh,
Yeah. So happy. So I think Ings has now scored as
yeah,
many goals for behind closed doors as he has live. That's about right, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and Suchek's just scored, so that could be him nailed
Oh,
on in in the team on
oh,
Saturday. Well, I'm going to
oh,
do a little preview hopefully later in the week, as long as I get time. Don't run out of time in the week, so I'll probably
okay.
do that as a little separate show. Perhaps do a little team prediction and run
Yeah,
down on where everyone's been on their international duty. So if anyone wants to join me for that later in the week, please do. And have you got anything else you'd like to contribute, Budgie, or are you about ready to wrap up, mate?
I'm about ready to wrap up, buddy. I've got a dog over there waiting to go for a walk,
Ah,
and
yeah, okay.
I've got to take my medication as well. I keep forgetting to do that.
Don't forget to do that, Budgie.
No, I won't. I'll do that. I've got it right here, right next to me. So I'll do that in a bit. Yeah. So I haven't really got anything to add. I mean, it's been lovely chatting with you, bud.
Oh, you too. It's lovely.
You
Thanks for
know,
coming in and helping me out, mate.
no, it's not like I'm helping you out. I enjoy doing this. So, you helping me out as well, getting a little time on the screen and stuff. So yeah, but my regards to your wife, by the way. I forgot to say that earlier. And yeah, mate, that's it. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining us and for
Yeah,
your
I'd like to thank
comments.
everyone in the chat. All the best to Tony at Early Doors.
Yeah,
I saw a couple of messages from you, so obviously I know you got something going on. So I hope it all resolves itself. I think sorts itself out as quickly as possible. And sending all my best to you, mate. And just like to thank everyone else in the chat for joining us. And anyone new here, please, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you're watching this back and you want to give us any feedback, please use the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'll wrap it up around about there, Budgie. And if you
Okay,
want to
mate.
join me, if you've got time, we can do a little preview. I'll let you know when I'm doing it. If we can coordinate,
Okay.
happy to
Yeah.
jump on with me. No problem at all.
I'm working tomorrow and Thursday,
Yeah,
but I
might be
should be back
Thursday. I might
home.
do it.
Yeah, I should be back home by about 5, 6 o'clock. So,
All right. I'll message you and we'll see how we get along.
all right, but no worries.
And
Excellent.
so, for everyone else, until next time, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. And we'll
Yeah,
see you next week. Cheers, guys. Come on, you
come on, you.
irons.
To the